He was a billionaire with incurable disease. Shaving his hair and preparing to have his skull opened to remove a tumor, he was upset because no one came to visit him. There was only a subordinate next to him, who kept alluding, "If you die, what about the company?" For someone who has a fortune of over $100 million, you don't even have anyone to accompany you for the surgery. Would you really consider your life a success? The good thing is that the craniotomy was successful after the operation. The chief doctor said to the billionaire, "This was the best we could do. The rest is left to yourself." To this stage, healing was a long battle. Money was no longer important to him, but company was. However, the billionaire was all alone. Could he hold up? By coincidence, the hospital arranged a patient to accompany the billionaire, a black guy. He was a low working class who had not seen the world, but had done a lot of reading. The billionaire was not very pleased with the arrangement at the beginning. He asked for a single room, and said he did not want to see an undead zombie every day. But soon he too became just as sick, either vomiting a lot or having diarrhea. One night, the black guy was tossing in excruciating pain, and the billionaire was twitching in agony as well. As the two shared the same illness and started talking, billionaire found that the sick black guy had great personality. The black guy was quiet, and he never complained as much as he did. The two played cards together, walked together, and they gradually became friends. This is the movie that has touched millions of audience, The Bucket List. It tells the story of a billionaire and a poor guy completing a bucket list together before dying. It is an extremely warm and therapeutic film, a must-watch, until the day they both got the bad news from the doctor that the billionaire only got another 6 months to live and the black guy only had 1 year left to live. Both of them felt devastated. They looked at each other and came to realization that all men were equal when it came to life and death, regardless of their wealth, race, and character. The next day, the billionaire found a piece of paper on the ground, which was thrown away by the poor black guy when he was upset. On the paper was the black guy's bucket list: help a stranger sincerely, laugh to tears, drive a sports car. The black guy caught the billionaire reading the notes and got mad. The billionaire commented, "These are too bad." Then he also put down some of his own last wishes on the notes: skydiving, kiss the most beautiful girl in the world. They seemed quite reckless, yet acceptable. Then the billionaire said, "Let's go and do all these. He's got the money. He can fix anything." The black guy was a little nervous. The billionaire said, "Otherwise you will have to go home and wait for death. Although being with family members is nice, but there's nothing they can do. This whole time before your death will be too rough for them." The black guy thought about it for a moment and finally agreed. His wife, however, strongly disagreed with this idea. How could a dying person not stay with the family? But the black guy's mind was made up. He decided to fulfill his last wishes, therefore he joined the billionaire. The first thing they did was skydiving. When they were about to jump, the black guy got cold feet. The first last wish they had to fulfill was skydiving. Although the black guy only had 6 months left to live, he couldn't help but got cold feet about it. He shouted that he didn't want to do it anymore, but he was pushed over unexpectedly. The billionaire, with a mischievous grin on his face, immediately followed and jumped. And then the billionaire and the black guy started to curse each other in the air.
I hate your right!
As a result, the poor man opened the parachute too early, while the billionaire could not open the parachute. The coach behind got terrified.
Pull the damn cord!
In the end, the two of them still managed to land safely. The first last wish was completed. The second wish was to drive a sports car. The billionaire went straight on and bought the black guy's favorite sports car. They put on professional driver's suits. Racing wildly fast on the track, the black guy laughed particularly hard and crashed the billionaire's car. After that, the two began to travel around the world. They were traveling from beautiful coastal town, where they had luxurious caviar that worth tens of thousands in fancy restaurant, to Africa where they saw the lions and zebras, to the pyramids in Egypt, and then to India for the Taj Mahal. The two gradually learned about each other's personal affairs. The billionaire had a daughter who had broken off her relationship with him. It was all because his daughter married a guy who had issue of domestic violence. The billionaire sent some guys over to beat the guy to an inch from death, and told him to never show up again. As the black guy learned about this, he decided to write on his bucket list, "Get in touch with daughter again." The billionaire was not very much pleased with the idea. He stubbornly refused to contact his daughter and had an argument with the black guy. The argument got the catheter in the black guy's chest ruptured and caused him to bleed a lot. The billionaire started to feel sorry at seeing it. Meanwhile, he received a phone call from the black guy's wife. She pleaded him to let her husband come back to her. For that, she truly wished to be with him before he died. The billionaire then went to the black guy. He began to persuade the black guy to go home, but the black guy was reluctant, saying that he and his wife had long been estranged, and that although he was staying in 5-star hotels, soaking in the most luxurious bathtub, watching his favorite TV program that he watched all the time, he was still himself no matter where he was. Then they arrived at the foot of the Everest. One of the black guy's last wishes was to reach the peak of the Everest. Unfortunately, they came too late and the mountain was already too stormy. The storm would not stop until next spring, but the black guy only had 6 months to live. He couldn't wait until next year. Their next stop was Hong Kong. And that night, while dining in a luxurious restaurant, a beautiful lady came to talk to the black guy. She offered to shake hands and started the conversation. As the two chatted, there was some chemical spark between them. Every word he said seemed to poke the resonance of her soul. The beautiful lady stared at the black guy and seemed to be totally infatuated. She spoke with a bit of shyness.
I've never done this before.
It was an invitation to the black guy for spending the night together. The poor man froze and felt quite flattered. However, after thinking it over, he refused her. He thought of his wife. The beautiful woman left. The black guy returned to the room and asked the billionaire if the beautiful girl was hired by him. The billionaire admitted. The black guy said, "That was very smart of you to make me miss my family. Now let's go home." Then the two stopped their travel around the world and took a flight back home. Before arriving home, the black guy talked over with the billionaire's assistant to send the billionaire to his daughter's house. The black guy really wished to return the favor since the billionaire helped him connect with his family. The billionaire, however, did not seem impressed by the arrangement. He went furious and refused to go in to see his daughter. He angrily tore up the bucket list and left. He returned to his home, a fancy, luxurious mansion. Without the slightest warmth, he called for girls to come over to fill his emptiness. But it didn't seem to work. He couldn't help crying to the window. Meanwhile, the black guy returned to his family, regained the warmth of family, and rekindled his love for his wife. This night, the black guy's wife prepared a surprise of love for him. He was so nervous. Then his wife changed clothes and came out, only to see him on the ground. When the billionaire rushed to the hospital, he learned that the black guy's cancer had metastasized to his brain and should get surgery immediately. Although the surgery was a very low success rate, the billionaire came to see the black guy, who had shaved his head and was ready for the surgery. When the black guy's wife went out, the black guy called the billionaire over and gave him a piece of paper, on which was written that the billionaire's favorite Muscat coffee was actually processed from the feces of civets. As the billionaire read it, the black guy burst into laughter. The two looked at each other and started to laugh so hard that tears flowed out of their eyes. Then, the black guy took out the bucket list and crossed out "laugh to tears." It turned out that the paper, which had been torn by the billionaire, had been put back by the black guy. Then he handed the list to the billionaire and said, "The rest is up to you alone to fulfill." The black guy's surgery failed. He passed away during the operation. The billionaire left the hospital and eventually decided to follow the black guy's idea. He came to his daughter's house and knocked on the door. It turned out to be rather peaceful. Without any of the quarrel he imagined before, the daughter had long forgiven him. It was then that he realized that happiness was within his reach. What was more surprising was that his daughter called for her daughter, the billionaire's little granddaughter. The billionaire saw his granddaughter for the first time and was beyond excited. He was so happy that he didn't even know how to react to it. He nervously hugged the cute little granddaughter and kissed her a few times. Then he crossed out that wish he initially written on the bucket list to kiss the most beautiful girl in the world. At the black guy's funeral, the billionaire crossed out one of the black guy's wishes: sincerely help a stranger. You see, he was the stranger, and the black guy helped him to find happiness. A few months later, the billionaire also passed away. His assistant came to the summit of the Everest and placed his and the black guy's ashes inside a secret crypt here. They finally fulfilled their last wish to witness the spectacular. The ancient Egyptians believed that after one's death, he or she would be asked two questions to determine if the person could go to heaven. One of them is, have you ever found joy in life? The other one is, have you ever brought joy to someone else's life? Let's ask ourselves these questions, and let's hope that the two best friends shall definitely meet again in heaven.